We will take a brief introduction about the program, what we are going to do in the next 50 days, okay, and what is the areas we are going to concentrate and which areas there we feel that people are lagging and which areas that there should be a large scale focus. Okay, so initially this program is going to help almost every student. I mean, like the student who have already taken coaching, or a student who is going through his coaching classes. Okay, and the most important is never correlate this program with your regular classes, correlate this program with your test series, correlate this program with your any other program which is going in the market. This program is targeting your general studies, and also it is going to help those students whose scores basically lag very low. Okay, and next, very important, this program will definitely help those students who miss the prelims by some sort of a gap of 5 to 10 marks or by a single digit. They stay out of the mains race. Okay, and that extra edge what the student have to do to clear this, okay, the preliminary examination, is what we will try to provide. Most important objective of this program is, it is a regular crash course where in the general studies we will teach all the modules of general studies. Along with the modules of general studies, okay, with a time gap, we will conduct a regular test, and this test will definitely help you to analyze yourself where there is a gap. Okay, and there are mentors who will guide you for this program, and if there is any gap in your preparation, in your strategy, or there is a gap between what you have and what UPSC is testing you in clearing the prelims, that definitely can be fulfilled. Okay, this is the basic introduction of the program. Along with this, the program starts with the most important subjects, that is economy, polity, history, geography, environment, okay, map pointing, budget sessions, and also the plan program schemes which are very important in the coming budget or the previous budget, on the reference how UPSC will frame the questions, and that way we have designed this program. And this program will target every module in the first case. Like, we will be targeting a module, for example polity, and we will teach you what are the most important areas where the student can bridge his gap in polity, bridge his gap in art and culture. Okay, plus an assessment for the syllabus which is done, which will definitely help you to raise your scores. And most importantly, areas which the student miss with respect to the current affairs, areas where the student miss the newspapers, areas where student don't read the government documents. So the most important and most probable, I'll challenge you, no one can guess what is being and how the question paper is going to be, and on what guidelines the paper is been going to be for the preliminary in the UPSC. We will go with the probability. So the probability of this question to be asked, this area to be asked, is very, very high. So that is the reason this program is targeted with the thematic presentation, thematic based, where taking UPSC's record of asking the questions in the particular areas where the probability of getting the question from that area is very, very high, and students still knew that this question will be asked and he'll try to miss the question because of two important things. One is, he do not hold any sufficient knowledge to mark the right answer, And second, probability of getting the answer, even for example the three statements are given and you know the two and the remaining one or two you lack. So how do you tackle those two statements to make it right, to make yourself in a better score? That is what this program is. This program is not about covering your entire GS syllabus in 50 days. This program is to give you a lot of confidence that what are the most important areas which needs to be handled, and n number of revisions which are definitely going to help you to cover the basic sources what you read in a fast mode, and also definitely will make sure that you will get a better score in your prelims. There are people from other batches I can see, there are people from other institutions I can see. So one common question they have asked, can I attend this program? Everyone can attend this program, fundamental right. No one, we cannot stop anyone to attend this program. Anyone can attend this program. There is no some rigid guidelines that there is an entry ticket for only for few that who are covered the syllabus completed. Today you will understand few important techniques, how UPSC is choosing this particular topic and why this topic is in the record of UPSC. So I'll make a presentation. First, let me finish this. What is that we are going to give in this program? See, once the program starts, we will have a regular classes. Daily a class starts somewhere between 5:30 to 6 or accurately 6. It will be a 2-hour sessions provided, sometimes 1.5 to 2-hour sessions maximum. And once a 50% syllabus is done, there is an exam for that. We will conduct a test for that. And the entire syllabus, once it is done, we will conduct a comprehensive test for that. This is how the program will be. And there are certain subjects, for example, most questions are being asked. If I say that without polity, the prelims paper is not built. Inevitable. That means bound to happen that polity questions do come in the preliminary examination. But still, there are people who knowingly commit mistake. This is the one category of people. And the second category of people are those who have no idea about the question. Third category, they are bindas. They just went to write the exam. If not this year, next year. But unfortunately, there is no supplementary. So you have to wait for 1 year to write this examination. Here, most importantly, current affairs tracker. I have fought for this to add because most people don't read current affairs. Current affairs sources like Hindu, like PIB, like Indian Express, okay, and the current affairs from the various departments like All India News, All India Radio. So which is you get it from the articles, okay, the next day in the Hindu paper. Even those I have added. I will just go through the content, the topics which we are going to cover is polity will be there, economy will cover, history with ancient and medieval, and modern India, geography, map pointing, environmental and ecology, science and technology, and all this is part of the economic survey programs, etc. Now you should understand trends of asking the question in areas like economy. If you want to clear preliminary and you want to see yourself in the list, first important is you should be very smart in choosing the question within the right time. Imagine you are sitting in an examination hall and you are one among them and you start your exam. The first thing is whether I can solve this question or not. If yes, take a stand. If no, leave it. Do not put unnecessary techniques to apply an extreme statements, making yourself to be very smart, forgetting that UPSC is smarter than you, and ultimate you land nowhere. So don't test your extreme statements and techniques, because I don't go with extreme statement and techniques, and the probability of using extreme statement and techniques are hardly, I can feel like 10 to 20%. 80% should be your knowledge. So the ratio has to be 80 is to 20, but how it is projected is 80 is to 20. 80 is you go with the techniques, because YouTube channels I have made lot of students to come back and question that will this techniques work. UPSC is well established and born before us. I mean, like, much earlier than us, and it knows everything what is happening in the market, and it watches everything, the elimination techniques, the smart elimination techniques, the only elimination techniques, all the thumbnails it watches, and somewhere in the corner of the room it will smile. Chalo, let's see what techniques you will apply in this year. So the first important thing is have a faith in your knowledge. 80%, in fact if it is more than 80%, it is good, and 20% you have to apply some common sense. Why I'm saying common sense, I'm not using this elimination techniques, I'm using saying that common sense. I'll use one previous year question. There was a question which was asked recently about Niger seeds. Niger seed is covered as part of MSP. True, because Niger seed is covered as part of MSP, which is a Kharif crop. 100% correct. You have Kharif crops, 14 in number, in that they are covering Niger seeds, and every year Government of India will declare, okay, the Niger seeds and its value. That is true. The same statement he has given, accepted. What I gave now, he has split that into two statements, and most people don't get confused with this two statement. A third statement is some tribes. He is using this term, some tribes use Niger seeds for cooking purpose. For cooking purpose, leave this statement. Now hold this very important keyword, which is some. Some tribes, he is not questioning this particular tribe. He is not questioning this exact percentage of tribe. He is using the statement some tribes. You cannot contradict to that statement that no tribes. We know traditionally tribes are the one who are having a profound knowledge in making medicines, coming up with innovations with respect to the resources, making use of the forest areas. It can be some tribes. In such extreme statements, use your common sense again. Use your common. You have to take risk. No, I have to know all the three statements. And there could be only few questions, you know all the three statements. But there are few questions, you have to take risk. Prelims itself is risk. You have to take risk. CSAT itself is risk. So you have to take the risk and you have to go ahead to answer that question. Some tribes, somewhere in the corner of the world, there's a like huge population of the tribal. Somewhere in the corner of the world, some tribes may use the Niger seeds for cooking purpose. So what is that statement? If he say that no tribes use Niger seeds for the cooking purpose, then this is going to be very much extreme and contradicting statement. But he has used the term some tribes. He has never mentioned tribes somewhere around 50%. Second type of question again. Tribes somewhere around 70%, up to 70%. So these are very, very contradicting. And it's better not to attempt such questions. Some tribes use nicer seeds for cooking purpose. 100% go for it. Because the statement says universally, some or the other way people are present, they make use of this. When you read very properly about the Niger seeds, people use for the cooking purpose, people use in the cosmetics, people use because it has some medicinal value. There are so many purposes which are there with respect to Niger seeds. So what is that final theme of this particular question is, whenever you are getting a generalistic opinion stating that there are certain tribes who make use of certain particular any sort of commodity producing many such things, then 99.9 kaadu, 100% the answer will be correct. Go with that. I have used only one question. In these sessions, I will teach you such kind of statements and how to take a risk, okay, when such statements are there, and when you are not supposed to take risk, try to refrain from those questions in answering such questions. Unnecessary, you will land into losing marks, because this is a negative and it will take away from the list. Next, very important, there are certain questions exclusively in economy. I will tell you, you should attempt such questions. You should. Why? Because there are few who believe that they have very greater knowledge in economy and only they can attempt these questions. No, there are certain areas in, especially in economy, you should apply your common sense to answer such question, and that will definitely help you to take to the nearest answer. And I told you, risk is there, so you should take a greater risk to enhance your scores. Now, this is one subject where you should take a risk to answer most of them. For example, 21 questions were given earlier in economy. I expect your knowledge and your content, your common sense. Common sense here means trying to attempt a question with the getting a probability maximum right. Should be very much accurate in economy. Which means somewhere around, if they are asking you 20 questions, you should ensure that you should write at least attempt 15 to 18 question, at least 15 to 18 in economy. And second, modern history, and third, polity. These are the important subjects where you are expected to compulsory give your 100%. Those people who wanted to get into the mains list, these are the three important subjects where you should score very, very, very well. I will give you one handout now. I have made certain, picked certain questions of UPSC, okay, in this year and also from the previous years, pointing out certain important areas. That means most people come back and ask me like, sir, uh, we read newspaper and we read the entire article. You tell me what is being asked. Now I'll tell you, I'll put the questions of UPSC, not of 2020, exactly this year, 2025. I think the few of them would have written their exam also. 2025, the questions what we have appeared, the same questions we will try to project and we will solve, and from where he has picked that questions. Look at the first question. I think it's visible. Read the first question and give me the answer for this. Government of India provides MSP for Niger seeds. Second one, Niger is cultivated as a kharif crop. The two, what the statement I told, they have split into two statements. Third one, most people see, they'll try to buy hard MSP, they will try to read the content of MSP, okay, and they also know that it's a kharif crop, but where do they struck is whether they use in something for cooking or not. That should be your major trap. Now considering that, I ask you to find it out one important keyword there. The important keyword is some. Always remember, some, few, some, few, okay, and other set, all tribes, all tribes, no tribe, every tribe, all tribe, no tribe, every tribe. These are like contradicting statements, contradicting keywords. So make sure that whenever I'll be teaching these classes, I'll be stressing on this such kind of keywords, extreme words. I will teach you such kind of extreme words. I have put deliberately such kind of keywords which will help you to get practice, and probably most of them 100% you will get through. Look at the second question from your handout. Which one of the following launched the Nature Solutions Finance Hub for the Asia and the Pacific? Now, we are not going through the answer, we are not going through the question. Anyways, when we start our program, I'll explain you everything. What is the role of this institution, why they brought this institution, entire current affairs we'll discuss in the class. But in the orientation, just learn why this question was asked. They'll not give the question vaguely. It's like they'll try to pick the question and they'll try to give this question. So why did they ask the question? This you have, this you have given your examination this year, probably in the April and May. And this was repeatedly in the current affairs. From the past 1-2 years, it was repeatedly in the current affairs. For example, Nature Solutions Finance Hub for Asia and the Pacific. This has been, look at the statement, look at the date, 28 March 2025. It was covered in the news, and also in April it was covered in the news. Prior 2024 also it was covered in the news. It says Asian Development Bank has launched this at the COP28. So whenever we read about COP28, it is our duty to understand. For example, Green Climate Fund. If such kind of terms are being covered in the news, it is your duty that when did they announce, when did they announce such funds. Second point, you need not write 2 pages of this fund. For prelims, I'll push you what to read, how much to read. And for mains, we have studied oceans. But for prelims, what to read, which topic to read, and how much content you require to answer the question. That is very, very important. It's not like pages and pages we have and we don't know what to read from the current affairs. Always remember, any fund which is launched during any COP summit is your question. Any institution which is playing a major role and other two institutions are making a supporting role. Supporting role is our question in the exam. That's it. He will concentrate on these two institutions, which means what? There are three institutions which are working very hard, and at the topmost end there is for an institution like World Bank, which is trying to promote, the subject of women empowerment. For example, there are other two institutions which are playing a supporting role. My sincere advice is, never ever try to shadow these two supporting institutions, because UPSC is famous in changing supporting institutions. They will definitely put World Bank is playing a major role, and the other institutions who are playing a supporting role are first and second. But we did not read this. These two institutions, most of the time, he will try to replace. For example, in the two institutions, we have ADB. He will try to bring AIIB to confuse you. If he has brought ADB in the exam, make sure that you by heart those two institutions and mark the answer correct. Is it clear? So, wherever you find from here on in our current affairs classes, in our regular crash course classes, wherever you find that supporting role institutions, supporting organizations, then always put in your mind that you have to read them, you have to remember them. That should be a trap. Next, which organization, I have told you just now, like organization, institutions plays a very very important role. Which organization has enacted the nature restoration law to tackle the climate change and the biodiversity? Most institutions from European, most institution from Europe mostly are towards environment. I'm just trying to pass a general statement stating that when I have almost zero knowledge, and I have to take a risk. For example, I'll try to support one statement to what I have said. Green Climate Fund, when no one came forward to support, European Union came forward to deliver some funds in that. Clear? Green Climate Fund, all the institutions came forward and made one fund so that this fund can be utilized for any mitigation or prevention or climate adaptation technologies. Most institution has withdrawn from supporting, so European Union, they came forward to fund, which indirectly means what? European based countries, most of the time they will try to promote, most of the times they will try to promote environmental cause. India in collaboration with France, International Solar Alliance. India in collaboration with Germany, carbon offsetting projects. Which means what? Most European countries willfully come forward, try to promote such kind of technologies. So, I'm not asking you to widely guess whenever you get an European based institutions, go and answer it. But this was actually in news also, in Hindu paper. This you can look at in the handout. This question was directly asked from the Hindu itself. Like 7 months back, this question was asked, and like this topic was covered, and you have got this question from that. Next, look at the question IBRD. Always remember IBRD, IMF, ITO. You're not going to exam without revising this. IBRD, IMF, and WTO. These are the three important favorite areas of UPSC. If you see the last 5 to 6 years, you get to see there are questions asked repeatedly, not using the similar terminologies or try to pick up from different topics, but questions are asked. That's why when I teach the crash course for economy, I will try to put most and maximum content in these three institutions so that you should not miss even a single question. I can challenge my students from economy. If there are some 20 questions, they have easily answered 17 to 18, they have easily answered. There was no doubt. Dead stock, this was taught, they answered. And how and what, when the program begins, you will understand. Now read the question. Consider the following statement in respect of IBRD. What is IBRD? International Bank for Reconstruction and Development. International Bank for Reconstruction and Development. This bank, along with the IMF, we call them as Bretton Woods twins. Started in 1944, based on Bretton Woods Conference at New Hampshire. And you got these twins post World War. This is basic knowledge you should have after reading NCERT. After World War, most of the countries met at a place, New Hampshire, Bretton Woods. They decided if there is a third world war, there should be certain institutions which should protect us, promote us in development activity. One among them was IBRD. Later to IBRD, IDA was added. These put together we call them as World Bank. Now, he has asked a question on only on IBRD. Now read the first one. It provides loans and guarantees to middle income countries. Now in that statement, it only provides, or it provides only to. It only provide means it is the only institution which is providing. Or the second type of statement, it provides only to. That means this institution is providing only to. Both the statements will not be correct. Which means your intention to bring the IBRD is for what purpose? Is to serve the people for reconstruction and development. We did not say you should be developed, you should be least developed, you should be developing. They provide two types of loans. One is soft loan, other one is hard loan. When we take the subject, we will discuss all those. What is hard loan, what is soft loan, etc. Now, it provides loans and guarantees to middle income countries. There is nothing wrong. Middle income countries, those countries which are basically in transition. That means there are countries like India, countries like China. They wanted to come into the topmost phase. World Bank is or IBRD is trying to promote them. 100% correct. Now, it was third statement. Read the third statement. It was established to help Europe rebuild after World War II. It was established, helped Europe, not only Europe, but also other. But he's saying it was established only to help Europe. It was the only institution, that's why I gave you two statements there earlier. It was established only to help Europe, or this institution will provide only to Europe. And look at the second statement. It works single-handedly. It works single-handedly to help developing countries to reduce poverty. To reduce poverty, it is true. Anyways, these institutions are involved in reducing poverty, hunger, any sort of reconstruction activities they will help. But is it the single-handed institution? So always remember, such kind of statements are contradicting. Apply the common sense. These are not the only institutions. There are so many institutions like IFC is there, IDA is there, even IMF is also there. There are so many other institutions out of World Bank. Out of World Bank also, they are trying to promote to give large scale loans to reduce poverty. Is it clear? It is, why did I choose only these questions? Because there are certain questions which you will easily answer. But there are certain questions You require some common sense to analyze, to pick the extreme statements there and stop and think that am I correct? If not, my suggestion is not to attempt. Don't lose your marks. If you have already answered 50 plus, if you still get such kind of questions and you feel that you wanted to take a risk and you're positive, then go ahead. Then in case you feel that maybe I may be not, because easy to only single handed, maybe, then I think you require a lot of practice, I can say. Come to the last page. Come to the last page. There is a chapter which is called as fiscal policy. Most of the students don't read that. Fiscal policy, budget classification. This year, UPSC has gifted 3 questions from it. 3 questions means 6 marks. 3 questions, 6 marks, and this is a simple mathematics. Simple mathematics. And if you know little bit of formulas, you can apply formulas and you're getting answer. Within the question, there is an answer. I'll show you within the question there is an answer. Now read this statement, because most of them have done with your economy. Just read this statement. 48,500. Simple. A country's fiscal deficit stands at 50,000 crores. FD is 50,000 crores. It is receiving 10,000 crores to non-debt creating capital receipts. He has given that 10,000 non-debt creating capital receipts only to confuse you. Only to confuse you, to waste your time to write the data 10,000. And how does we think in examination hall? How to adjust the 10,000 crores? How to adjust the 10,000 crores so that we should get some answer, and one answer will get most of the time none of the above then. So the country's interest liabilities are 1500 crores. What is the gross primary deficit? So what is the formula for primary deficit? Fiscal deficit minus interest payments. That's it. Is the only formula. So what is the fiscal deficit? 50,000 crores minus 1500 crores. How much it is? How much time it takes? I don't think so. Even a minute, maximum a minute. If you write a formula and if you recheck it, how much you will score? 2 marks. So most people ignore this chapter, and he is not asking questions more from this chapter. This year he has targeted 3 important questions. Okay. This year, be very careful with taxes, types of taxes, GST, finance commission. Maybe before going to prelims, you may get 16 finance commission report. In the examination, he will remind you that you went to 16 finance commission, I am still at 15th. So I will frame a question on 15th. So be careful. So there might be a question on the 15th finance commission also. Now read this statement. Which of the following statement with regard to the recommendations of the 15th Finance Commission of India are correct? Prelims is all about saving your time and putting an accurate mark. Whenever numericals are there, always remember, percentages are there, numericals are there, you will go most of the time 100% correct if you know that fact very accurately. Now, I may not read the entire content. I don't want to read the entire content, but I'll read only one number, which is called as 45%. 15th Finance Commission never recommended 45%. They recommended 41 plus 1, which means 41% of the net proceeds of the union taxes are to be shared with the states. Just eliminate second statement. Just eliminate correct statement, eliminate second statement. We are getting right answer as C. I'll bet you such questions mostly are asked in economy. Mostly are asked in economy. That's why I told you, if 20 questions have been given, it's your duty to at least get 17 to 18. You will get 34 or greater than 30 marks from economy. Read the other side. Suppose the revenue expenditure is 80,000 crores and the revenue receipts of the government are 60,000 crores. The government budget also shows borrowings of 10,000 crores and interest payment of 6,000 crores. Which of the following statements are correct? Revenue deficit is 20,000 crores, FD is 10,000 crores, PD is 4,000 crores. Now what is the formula for FD? FD is total expenditures minus total receipts, and you elaborate. What is FD? Nothing but FD is nothing but borrowings. FD is nothing but borrowings. The government budget also shows borrowings of 10,000 crores. In the question itself, there is an answer. FD is nothing but borrowings. The government budget also shows the borrowings of 10,000 crores. Fiscal deficit is 10,000 crores. That's it. Don't waste your time. So second one is correct. When second one is correct, you can actually eliminate the third statement, which is 1 and 3. Now go back. Suppose the revenue expenditure is 80,000 crores and the revenue receipts is 60,000. So what is the deficit? 20,000. So revenue deficit is 20,000. 1 and 2 are correct. 1 and 2 are correct. 1 and 2 are correct. Okay. Look at whether 3 is correct or not. Now PD. PD is 4,000 crores. How PD is calculated? Fiscal deficit is equal to PD is equal to FD minus IR. What is FD? 10,000. What is IR? Interest? 6,000. Then what will be PD? 4,000. What should be the answer? So whenever in economy, if they are giving any numericals, with my experience and looking up the paper of the past 5 years, the moment economy and numericals, people run. This is not my question. No. Kindly sit, spend some time, take little bit risk, and you'll get 100% correct answer. And this is the only subject you will get a good accuracy. We done this? Read this statement. Consider the following statements. Capital receipts create liability or cause a reduction in the assets of the government. Capital is related to asset. Okay. It is a creating of a asset, making asset, or diluting a asset. But in the both the cases, there should be a role of asset. Then you go for a capital account. So capital receipt, create a liability. Create a liability means what? I'm receiving is receipt. So I have borrowed from you money. I borrowed from you 1 crore. That means I'm receiving receipt. My borrowing has to put some collaterals with you. That is an asset. That means I'm receiving capital receipt. It will create a liability. Yes. It is creating a liability that it is a duty of the government to pay it back. It will create a liability or cause a reduction in the asset. How this building is an asset? True. Selling away is a dilution. Selling away asset. So capital dilution means someone will pay. I'm receiving. That means reduction in the asset of the government. Is it correct? Yes. So first statement is correct. Borrowing and disinvestments are capital receipts. Borrowing, you are receiving. Disinvestment, the same example I told you, are capital receipts. So 1 and 2 are correct. Yes. Interest received on loans creates a liability. Interest received, that means you are receiving. When you receive as an interest, which means you have given loan. When you have given loan, it is somebody else's liability to pay you back. That does not create any liability, which means what? Interest received on loans create a liability of the government? No. Which means statement 3 is wrong. So my advice is to target few very important areas in economy where you have 100% probability of getting correct answer. Do not run away with fiscal policy, budget classification, or taxes, or GST, or numericals. Economy with numericals, I'm done. So people run away. No, economy with numericals, 100% chances that you'll get a right answer. Most of the time, the answer will be in the question only. Next, we'll not go for the answers, etc. Just let me give a quick. India accounts for a very large portion of all the equity option contracts traded globally. So this was the question which was there in the last year only. Okay, for the consequently 2 times. This was a topic in the news with respect to Hong Kong shares, etc. On that basis, he have asked a question. See, always remember such kind of keyword. There is no regulatory board. There will always be a regulatory board. We have a regulatory board. We have SEBI. Okay, so we cannot say there is no regulatory board. So you just eliminate option 3 there. You are getting answer. All right. Next, circular economy. What is circular economy? Why was this question? Leave it. Well, circular economy people might know, but why the circular economy was in news? Because of it was covered in the Indian Express. Indian Express, the Hindu. This question was asked, and with the handout which I have given, uh, for example, if you're talking about turmeric, they sanctioned turmeric board for the state of Nizamabad, Telangana. So on that basis, they have raised the question. You should also find it out where the other areas turmeric board is already sanctioned, already well established. Like such, how you have to prepare. And that was in news. Okay, chalo. Now listen carefully. First thing what we have studied till now is few sample questions where how and where you have to take the risk. And second, newspapers, how the question has been asked. Third, probability of getting right. Sometimes in economy, if they are numericals, you should not miss those questions. Okay. And very importantly, most people say that questions are not repeated in UPSC. This is always a question to them. Let it be a question, and I am going to give a good answer or a reply to that. Most questions in UPSC get repeated, not giving you a clear picture that this question was already asked. That is how they will make the question. Now look at the topic of UPSC 2020 WPI, which is inflation. I have picked few questions for today, that is economy and environment. When we meet in the next session, I will take polity, I'll take few questions of history, I'll take few questions of current affairs, IR, mapping, so that you will get one day you will get a clarity on one subject rather than putting all a mixture on one day, so that you can learn subsequently. Inflation, as I told you, international institutions like World Bank, IMF, and WTO, how important they are. In the same way, inflation is the most important and favorite topic of UPSC. Every alternative year, there are questions on inflation. They will ask a question on shrinkflation, they'll ask a question on skewflation, they'll ask a question on WPI CPI. They've asked a question recently, this year, in the UPSC, they asked a question on headline and core inflation. What is headline inflation? What is core inflation? How do you calculate them? Why is that UPSC more concerned about the inflation? Because inflation is always in news, current area. He is expecting you to read inflation very properly. So whenever our classes start, we will put lot of focus on international institutions and inflation, so that if the question is being asked, you should not miss it. This is one question. We will not go into depth of the question because most may have knowledge, may not have knowledge. Once we start the crash course, we will go into depth. This is a question which was asked in UPSC 2020 with respect to WPI. And the same UPSC has asked a question twice, little bit changing in the statements with respect to WPI. WPI, which means what? 2 to 3 times only in UPSC. You only in UPSC civil services, they've asked a question on WPI. Which means what? WPI, whenever we read WPI, we have to read WPA thoroughly, 100%. That means you ask any question, I am ready to answer. In this, there is only one small logics in economy. He will try to promote and he will try to say that and he will try to convince you in the statements stating that recently RBI adopted LELO. It said this, RBI is doing this, SEBI has done this. Now read this statement, Reserve Bank of India has now adopted, Reserve Bank of India has now adopted WPI methodologies, which is actually wrong. They shifted from WPI to CPI methodologies since 2014. You eliminate statement 3. Eliminate statement 3. That means WPI and the content of WPI is very, very important for UPSC. Next, WPI does not capture changes in the prices of services which CPI does. WPI talks about goods. CPI talks about goods as well as services. So anyway, 3 is wrong. 2 has to be correct. 3 is wrong. 2 has to be correct. So that means your probability of getting the answer most 1 and 2. I will teach you because what is the weightage, which one is the higher, etc. Whenever we get into the subject, you will understand. But let us use such kind of statements where UPSC will put it in the one of the particular statements stating that look, it has recently done this and you have not read in current affairs. అది current affairs లో ఉండదు, పాడు ఉండదు. And he will try to project that this is part of current affairs. The same relevance with respect to WPI again and again. India has experienced persistent high food inflation. This is the third question on inflation. Inflation in India continued to be moderate. There was a significant reduction in the food inflation. Question on inflation for the fourth time, which means inflation plays a very, very, very big role. As of now, when we will meet in the next classes, I will show you around 15, 1-5. Take my word, I will show you around 15 questions where the UPSC has used the term inflation in prelims. Which means what? Read inflation in such a way, methods of inflation, types of inflation, apply RBI into inflation, apply banking into inflation, apply all the commodities into inflation so that you don't miss a single question on inflation. They are somewhere around in 2022 and 2021, they have asked 2 questions. 4 marks, you can easily get it. Next, if you take about the banking, the most important topic in the banking where the UPSC will concentrate is interest rates. How interest rate methodologies are calculated. So when we'll focus more on interest rates. Types of calculating interest rates. What is base method? What is marginal cost lending rate system? What is extended benchmark system? What is the recent method adopted by RBI? So this is his prime area. All see again the similar question of MCLR. Okay, fine. Next, which of the following activities of the Reserve Bank of India is considered to be part of Sterilization. My intention is not to ask a question on sterilization. I wanted to show you conducting open market operation. Is it visible? I'm sorry, we should have done like this. Okay, now it is visible. Last one. Conducting open market operations. Open market operation in the banking is his area. Next, in the context of open market operations, people say questions are not repeated in UPSC. Na? Statement becomes question, statement becomes question, sometimes question becomes a statement. Which means what? You should learn, you should come out from that mindset that this question was asked last year. I'm not going to read because people will put in your ear that this was asked last year, let us eliminate this. No. If it was asked last year, put it little extra effort to read the topic so that he will not use the name of the topic and he will try to generate a similar topic again. Next, similarly, again he will try to use open market operations in the statement or options. So, how many times? Around 3 times. Import cover, import cover, import substitution. All right, import cover, import substitution, import inflation. 3 important words repeatedly he has asked. Import cover means what? The number of months where I can survive with my foreign reserves. Okay, for how many months I can survive with my foreign reserve to pay my bill. That's called as import cover. That means your father has gone out, he has given you some 1000 rupees. Survive with this 1000 rupees. Number of days you can survive. Apply the same way import cover. That means it is not related to GDP, total value of imports of a country. No, it is a ratio. No, it is the number of months of the imports that could be paid for a country's international reserves. So this was a question. I'm not going to teach you a topic. This was a question in one of his exam where answer was import cover. So what did you learn from this? Which means when you read import cover, cover everything. Simple logic. Cover everything and go to the exam. Next, Phillips curve. Phillips curve, this was asked in 2017 CDS. You know Phillips curve, right? Who is Phillips? Phillips. There you are. What does Phillips curve talks about? Phillips curve talks about what? Unemployment and inflation. Phillips curve was asked in 2017, 2021. There was a question again on Phillips curve. Put in the Phillips curves in the statement. That means you have to read Phillips curve, Lorentz curve, Gini coefficient, okay, and Kuznets curves, Laffer curve. So all the basic curves are there. You have to read and you have to go for exam. Same thing again with respect to Gini coefficient. Gini coefficient related to which graph? Inequality. What is the graph name? Lorentz. Look, this is one question of WTO. Again another question on WTO. One question on IMF. Another question on IMF. Again WTO. I put them alternately. Again IMF. IBRD. Alternately. What does it mean? Repeatedly he is concentrating more on these 3 institutions. Last year he has asked a question on IMF. This year he will not disturb IMF. He may ask you a question on IBRD or he may ask you a question on any other institutions. So making sure that these 3 institutions play a very important role. This is one very easiest question. You can easily answer them. Please answer them. Sishu, Kishore and Tarun. Who are they? Mudra. The intention was to project this question because Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana. Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana. He has asked once. Other way he has asked. stating that these accounts are part of which of the following institutions. Look, this orientation class was to tell you or convey a message clearly stating it is not very easy to clear prelims. Trust me, you have to put lot of hard work. Second, very important, you have to read right source. If you are reading an article, first question is should I cover this article or not? And second, if you are reading this article, will the question may or may not be? This smart work should be done by you and also with associate mentors who will help you to find it out what are the articles and what are the questions associated with those articles and what is the most important context you should take from that article. For example, recently they have given a question about Article 6 of Paris deal. They given a question on Article 6 of Paris deal, which I've taught in my current affairs classes. Article 6 of Paris deal, okay, where the countries come forward, will have a clean development mechanism, sit together, solve the problem of global warming and climate change. Carbon trade, carbon offsetting, all are part of this Article 6. There is one article which is left where I am waiting since past 4 years. Article 4 of IMF. Article 4 of IMF talks about surveillance, and this is in news. This is in news, and India is against Article 4. I will teach you this in the regular classes. Article 4, which is recently in news, where India is against the concept of surveillance, and this article is part of which of the following institution? ఎకానమీలో ఎక్కువ ట్రబుల్ చేయనట్టే ట్రబుల్ చేస్తాడు. సో ఇఫ్ యు నో యూ విల్ ఆన్సర్, ఎల్స్ యూ హ్యావ్ టు కమ్ అవుట్. సో we will be covering current affairs, okay, with newspapers, with lot of PYQs which has got greater weightage, and we will be covering in-depth concepts of economy, environment, polity, history, etc. Most probable questions and what to be read in those areas. And once the sessions are done, post sessions also the mentors are available. I am definitely available, and our intention is make sure most people write prelims. Most people write prelims, and people write prelims, and most of them should write mains. And most people come out of prelims list, qualifying list, losing by one question, two question, losing by 1 or 2 marks, and again waiting for the new cycle, again coming up with the same mindset like this time whether I'm going to clear it or not is again a question mark. So I believe you should not be into that phase. You have to read a right content, you have to go with the right approach, and your basics has to be very much clear. Brush up with the basics, what we will do in this program, and we will try to practice n number of questions which will definitely help you to get that confidence to get a good score. Get a good score in prelims. Good score in prelims. Try to cross 100 in prelims. Try to cross 100 in prelims. Net 50. How do you get net 50? What is the subject your target? Target maths. That's it. Simple mathematics subjects. Target polity, target modern history. Few areas where the questions are mostly asked. And try to get 50 plus. 50 plus as net number of questions. Take a break of one day. Relax. Next day, try to pick sociology. Which, whichever whichever is your optional, try to pick that optional, okay, because this is my favorite class, so as a flow it came out. So try to pick your optional, try to pick your GS and go with your mains. All right. So we will meet tomorrow again for this orientation class, and tomorrow you will have more important techniques and probability, how you get good scores, and more important concepts and other subjects also. All right. Thank you.